Welcome to episode 5 of A Wild Ride, Winds of Change with Brian and Amy.
Amy and Brian.
I think Brian and Amy sounds better. You guys, if you're watching this on video and not just listening, we are face to face.
Together.
Together
Forever. Yes.
We are in the same place. Brian has made it his way to Houston for right now. We are not sure what comes in the next few months, but this is where we are today. And we'll probably do an episode on what that is like and how we are just moving with the flow, literally the winds of change, and blowing with the spirit wind, stepping into a new way of doing life, living life. And today, though, on episode 5, we thought we'd tell you a little bit about how we met and some of the things that go on behind the scenes, inside the head, inside the heart, when two lives intersect in really unexpected ways. And so if you have tuned in to episode 1 through 4, you got a little background on what we're doing, why we're doing this podcast, and what we really hope to accomplish or experience with other people is walking through this life raw, of two lives coming together later in life, and both with the same heart and desire to walk by faith, probably more than we really have, putting what we believe and we've experienced and hope to live out through the finished work of the cross in real time. So what can that look like? It can look messy, it can look beautiful, it can look scary, it can be all the above, and I have a feeling so much more. And so, yeah, today though, okay, so what we did, we told you a little bit about our backgrounds, how we needed to look back a little bit, or do we need to look back, which we say we kind of do. We need to look back to where we've been in order to go to the direction in which we know is for us, uniquely and collectively. And now, how did our lives intersect?
Yeah, so last time in I think episode 3, when we were talking about kind of my journey, it was January of 2024 that we had kind of left things. A friend of mine that I had met in Mobile sent me the first of Chris Blackaby's 5 Falls of Genesis, and it rocked me to my core. So I started listening to everything and got exposed to Justin Paul Abram, Mike Parsons, Nancy Cohen, different things like that. February of that year, I got back on Facebook, and my Facebook feed had a Mirror Word Bible study. And Damon had been teaching from the Mirror Word for many years. And so I thought, let's do that. I hadn't bought one at the time, but joined the Bible study and, got the Kindle version, and just started attending. Pamela sent me the link, invite and everything, and just started attending, and just such a loving group of people. And really it was the small groups afterwards that just really, it was just super powerful, particularly coming from, isolation for so long. But yeah, so I joined in February, and then sometime mid-March, I think, Amy and I got into a breakout group together, and I was sharing part of my story, talking about Chris and Justin Paul and different things. And I think you were aware of Justin Paul Abram and Mike Parsons, maybe. And Nancy, probably more Nancy. Mm-hmm. But Amy just piped up and said, hey, if any of you are willing, would like to talk more about some of these, preachers, ministers. Obviously not in the small group, because it's not. We probably look at the camera rather than each other. But
we can do both. It doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. I don't think. I'd rather look at you, but that's just saying. So she said, hey, if anybody, would love to talk more about these people offline or off the call anyway. So Bonnie and myself said yes, and that kind of started our conversations. But yeah, that's when we first started talking.
Yeah, it's those conversations. So you guys, the Mirror Word, and what we'll do is in the description notes of this episode, maybe we'll put each of those teachers' names. I think as people are growing and stepping into a deeper realization of the finished work of the cross and what does that mean to us
Right.
today, if these are things that stir in your heart, this isn't negating the things we've learned and where we've been. It's taking things and unpacking them more. So the Mirror Word Bible Study, these teachers like Justin Paul Abraham or Chris Blackaby or Mike Parsons or Nancy Cohen will put their contact and their website stuff. And if that's something you want to explore or have some questions about, feel free to comment and that kind of thing. But this is where the Lord had really led Brian and me individually. And we were coming into different groups, learning from different teachers, and there was some overlap. And so as you're exploring this, and he'd been in there, what did you say, how long? Just that,
Several months.
Yeah, a few months. And then I had been there for a year and a half or so, off and on in these Bible study groups, but where we could just reflect on scripture, something that we're reading, a particular book of the Bible, comparing and contrasting and seeing how this impacts our heart. And so, yeah, Brian and I got in this breakout group. And really, for me, I'm just going to tag on a little bit and then let him continue in that. I was in there. So Brian had been on his own at this point, almost 12 years, divorced, but living in a place of isolation, really, especially for the last few years. More so on this journey of intimacy, beloved identity unveiling in his life in ways that the world says that looks kind of crazy. Leaving work, doing all the things, you've heard that in another episode. Then I'm coming, so he's in Georgia at that time, I'm in Texas. And I have been now on my own for, at that point, just a year. Maybe not even fully. Wasn't even a full year on my own at this point. Not divorced at this point, but separated and moving in that direction of divorce. And just finding me, just wanting to spend time with the Trinity, really at no fault on the relationship, but taking this opportunity after 33 years with somebody else, having a family, all of those things. Who am I? What is Amy really like? Who is she? What does she believe in? And I knew what I believed in. I just wanted to spend some of my own time in this revelatory relationship with the Trinity. And so when Brian and I did connect, so we then started, I think we had been doing a little messenger stuff, messages, and just, you can already tell, Brian's like an encourager. This is who he is at his core, is giving of himself, revealing Christ in people in the midst of whatever they're dealing with. This is who you are. And so we just were talking about different teachers, sharing information, but instantly, like the time we text for a while, and then maybe a week or two later, we got on a phone call. And I can still remember coming in from being somewhere, plopping down in my chair, and 2 hours flew by. 2 hours. I don't talk on the phone to anybody for 2 hours.
Me either.
And I'm like, I remember saying, dude, you are a brother from another mother.
Yes.
You and I have so much in common, all of the things, the interests, the experiences, kind of our family dynamics. We weren't even probably talking about that at that point, but whatever it was, it just was comfortable. And I was like, wow, it's a guy. I have not really talked to a ton of people right now, just some old friends, some new ones, a lot of things online. But hey, somebody that's a man that's an encourager. And I don't think the man part mattered, because we look at scripture as there is either male nor female.
That's right.
In the kingdom of God. This is this place of brotherly love. Sons being a category of being,
yeah,
in essence, that, are open in their heart to receive the reality of the truth of the gospel. And that's who we are. And so this relationship just unfolded as friends for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like months, 9 months, really. So go
Absolutely.
ahead, take it from them,
Well,
baby.
and the cool thing is it really started just in agape, in other-centered, self-giving love. I loved her. She was my sister from another mister, whatever, and that's how it started. I mean, that's what it was, giving of myself, and she reciprocated so beautifully that I'd never really experienced before. But that's how it was for months. We were just talking to each other, and I mean, we talked a lot. I'm an Android guy. She's an iPhone girl, so we couldn't do the Skype thing. But one day she said, "Hey, why don't you try Marco Polo?" And that's the first video chats that I had ever done. And it was like, it was crazy. We'd do dozens sometime a day, just having a conversation. Yeah, it was just really, really interesting, and the unique perspective is for me. Amy said I'd been, on my own for a long time, and I was okay with it, and actually concerned, how would someone else, enter into my life of solitude. I could do what I want to. I could read. I could not talk for days. I mean, literally, I wouldn't verbalize for days. And when I did start talking to people, I would lose my voice, particularly on the mirror word. If I was talking, I couldn't talk a lot because my voice just hadn't been used. Yeah, so, I was okay. And, I'll let Amy share this a little bit, but she had her own paradigm, if you will, her own preconceived notion of what her next couple of years were going to look like, and different things.
Yeah, so in my mind, I wouldn't say I realized, but I had little inklings that I had some control issues. I watch him spew his yerba mate. I set out and I set these boxes around my existence for safety, not realizing how much I would do that. This is what I need, and that probably had a part of why I'm not married anymore. Or we all have different things. That's neither here nor there. But when I entered into apartment life, living on my own, independence, how to make a small amount of money last a certain amount of time, finding career paths I could re-enter into outside of ministry that was not earning money, all the things, I said, I will not even consider dating for a minimum of 2 years. Period. End of discussion. Nausea, at the thought of it, because I wanted to be on my own, and I wanted to prove to myself I could do it. Or maybe I thought I was expected to prove that I could do something. And so that was a non-negotiable in my mind in this relationship. It was just like, there was not an attraction. It wasn't that way. It was just like, this is a gift, though, of conversation that really feels safe when someone's across the country, doesn't know you, you have no plan, he doesn't have a job, money, anything, he's not going anywhere, like this is just like almost like this gift of, I can just kind of dump and somebody is gonna listen. And that's what I thought it was. And then I'm just gonna jump to 9 months later. Over the course of this building, something started to shift in my heart so much, very quickly.
Was it 9 months though? Because
if you go
we started in April or March.
April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Okay, 7 months.
Yeah.
7 months later. I'm not good with numbers. And very quickly started to change. Things were opening in my heart. There were things that God was revealing about himself to me. And then was literally in the middle of the night, one night, I realized how much I'd been thinking about Brian on a different level, thinking about him, something in my heart starting to change. And I didn't want it. I did not welcome this because like I said, I had the preconceived notion. And I remember waking up just in the middle of the night to use the restroom, and my phone was right in front of me, and just out of habit, I picked it up. I think I was thinking of him, like, what if he left a message or a messenger before I went to bed? And on my phone was an image of this butterfly, that part of a butterfly, and it said, "Things end to begin again." And I just broke down crying, and the Trinity spoke into my heart so clearly as, "This is who we have for you." And I got on the floor in a heap, like, no! But yet I knew it, but I didn't, because everything in my logical mind was lining up saying, nope, he hasn't, this is not happening, this is not look the way I perceived, the way I thought, and I was raised, and I was culturally influenced, worldly influenced on what I need.
You know, it's funny because it started out spirit, I mean, spirit to spirit. And then, you know, just in conversing, talking to her, seeing her face and all the many nuances of that face, she revealed her soul to me. And it was a beautiful soul. And I was like, wow, this may be something other than what I thought. And I don't want to say it was a mistake, but one day we were talking, I said, hey, you know, if Abba decides to take this relationship in a different direction, well, it'll be okay. We'll take it one day at a time. And she kind of shared with me how she felt when she heard that.
Yeah, it was a visceral response of, I mean, I was in the gym at my complex and on the treadmill or something, and I stopped and I was just like, I don't want to make him feel horrible by responding, but inside I'm like, how effing dare you? Like, not even an option. Like, we just breezed over that so quick.
Mm-hmm.
And it never came up again.
No,
Nope.
because that wasn't what it was about.
No.
I loved her as my sister, and you know, if she chose to keep that relationship where it was, that was okay, because it was more about her as the spiritual side, as the person, rather than something I could gain or a relationship that I could take further. And really, I mean, when you start with that, just the other-centered, self-giving love in honor, preferring one another, that's a real thing, and it changes the whole dynamic. We don't expect anything from each other. There's no quid pro quo. There's no this for that to give to gain. You know, I don't love her because she loves me. I love her because she is me.
Wow. You guys, in telling this story is just to give some background on us if you choose to continue to listen and follow this. But our heart is that there's always something for you in this. And so this is a bit of a background on how we started, but what I think for me is the most important on this particular topic is having an expectation of what relationship or what our life ought to be. And we do that like from this place of what we understand to be true about God. And even as we're learning who he is and his nature, and frankly, it has become very evident to me, you guys, in my journey, that Abba, that Yeshua, and even Spirit are revealing themselves even more to me through him and his journey. And yet, at the same time, giving me a man, just giving me this man to maybe walk through things that I had not yet experienced in my life that are part of my journey to realized wholeness. And no two stories are alike. That's how good he is to us and knows us. And for me to say no one, for Brian to say no one, was not part of our two people's plan, two individual plan that then did align and come together. But you know, we so often have ideas. I have to have a spouse. I have to have this kind of a job. I need this kind of relationship with my nuclear family or my extended family. I need no one, I need someone. What if we step into that place of trusting to the level that Father knows best?
That's the deal.
Knows us more than we know ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and actually cares for the betterment of. Because this is not a manifesting story. There's nothing like that happening here on a conscious level anyway. Was there on a subconscious level something going on with Brian and me both saying, I won't settle for something beyond my wildest dreams? That then he's like, that's what we're talking about. I don't know the answer to that, but alls I knew is it's not on the forefront of my mind or heart. But I will tell you that there have been things that have happened since Brian and I met that, had I been so set in my way and he honored my will in that, might have had more devastating consequence than I can even put words to on being alone and not having a deep heart connection with another human being at this level. That he literally knew some of the places that I would be entering into through some other circumstances, that me being on my own was not what I needed at the time, and that I could trust that.
Absolutely. Well, this is going to be a short one today.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll just jump on and add some more to it later. But hopefully you kind of see our heart in this, that it's not a prescription. It's not a how-to. This is just how Abba's led us. Yeah. And there is no hopeless case. Just be open to the whisper, I guess.
Being held in the arms of a Father who knows us and loves us beyond what we think our human needs are. That he can meet every need. That he can be there to hear the cries in the night, the fears, the ultimatums we place on ourselves and others, or who may enter our world or will not enter our world, or the resentments and bitterness that hold us so captive that the heart is locked down and can't receive, or a place where we don't feel worthy enough, don't feel beautiful enough, rich enough, worthy enough, and where he fulfills and satisfies that so deeply in us that allows us to have our receiver tuned to what it is that he has in store for our journey, alone, together, or stepping into the great unknown, just being open to the wild ride that lies ahead, and knowing there are people that we get to journey with when we're frustrated, when we're overwhelmed, and the emotions try to tell us something that is beyond our reality.
Definitely.
You guys, thanks for joining us. We're so glad you tuned in.
Bye.